So are we rolling, Misty?
You sure are.
So we can do a little bit of a zero segment. We don't kick into it straight away. Got to get warmed up, get loosey-goosey.
Great.
So you're out on the train until 4 a.m. No, sorry, you had to get on a train at 4 a.m.
Yeah, so I had to get on the train at 4 a.m. to get home, and 7 hours later, I'm here.
the journey of people in the city, the Sydney city. I've been accustomed to falling asleep on trains. I have gotten drunk in the city, gotten the last train back, which is normally about 1 a.m. The train stopped, and I ended up on a Blue Mountains train, fell asleep before Penrith, and I woke up at Katoomba, and had to ring Misty at like 2:30 in the morning because it's an hour and a half.
Because you couldn't get back.
Yeah, no, I couldn't get on a train to get back. It was 5 a.m. to get back.
Oh, man.
Everything's shut. There's nowhere to go, so Misty had to drive up the mountain to come and get me. So I started proceeding walking down the mountain, and then she saw me. I was walking against the traffic.
Wow, that was great. She was able to see you that far away.
Yeah,
down the mountain.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I've done the city loop a few times as well.
Oh.
Fallen asleep on the train.
Cheers, another looper.
Yeah. On the loop. Yeah, definitely on the loop. In the loop, on the loop, around the loop. In and around the loop.
I guess we're going to be on the loop.
Yeah, totally. Speaking of the loop, a big shout out to a friend of mine, Jolene Garcia. She used to be on a TV show that I used to produce called The Loop. I used to be an associate producer on that. Oh, that's all good. I've got that sorted.
So, actually, what show was it? What channel was that?
Oh, that was TVS back in the day. So Channel 44 before it all went sour.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we'll do in-studio stuff, which, behind a green screen.
Beautiful.
The Loop was a show that was about stuff that was happening in Western Sydney. So, events. So, you could go to, what football games are on where. What sporting events are on?
Oh, great.
What fates are happening? Yep. What fairs are happening? It's that kind of show, an event show. Oh, jeez.
Oh, sound like you're playing the guitar there.
Yeah.
Be careful with that smart arm. Does this smart arm? Can you put a beer in it?
No, you can't. I should look into that. I've got to upgrade these arms because they do make a lot of noise. Like there's a lot of reverberation through them.
Wow, that's great though.
They are the cheapest arms on the market. Like, you can't get any cheaper than these arms. They're the cheapest you can buy.
That's okay. Does the job.
Yeah, it totally does the job. But you can get ones that have low vibration, so they don't make any reverberation at all, but they're very expensive. Yep. Yeah. Maybe one day. But I got the gold mics. These microphones, I think I got these microphones for $50 each.
Wow.
Yeah, maybe less.
Well, they sound incredible.
Yeah, they do okay. Like, they do okay for the podcast. Same with the desk. So you've got to run it through the desk and then run it through... Well, the real expensive part is the back end, all of the filming of it. The recording the sound isn't that expensive in relation to the footage. The footage is difficult to capture. You need more than one person to do it. Otherwise, you're editing on your own in post.
Yeah,
which is a lot of work. When you do an hour-long podcast, you've got to edit it for an hour. But with that said, I did figure out how to edit in times 2.
Okay.
So you know how you can like double the speed of content?
Yeah.
Or times 2, times 4, times 8?
Right.
I can edit it times 2.
Oh.
So I edit it so I can get an hour done in half an hour.
Wow.
Yeah, so I can shorten the amount of time. So when you do a show like this, what you want to do is you want to shorten the amount of time it takes you to make it.
That's right.
But still have the same product. You still want the same product.
Okay, so you can still hear the dialogue, but then it's just a bit quicker.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but it's only as I edit it. When I publish it, it comes out normal, of course. But I figured out ways. I got the podcast last year was 95 hours for the year.
Wow.
So I've got it down to 43 hours.
Okay.
To do 40 episodes is about 43 to 47 hours. That's how long it will take now. Before that would take up to 95 to 100 hours. Wow. So half the time by changing the setup and backline.
Just becoming more efficient. You're learning and you're becoming more efficient, and that's...
Yeah, a little bit more money as well. The more money you got, the faster you can do things.
Of course.
Oh, and technology advancement as well. Like the switch desk that we run here is a little ATEM. It's called an ATEM Mini, ATEM, ATEM, and allows us to do video switching.
Very nice.
But I use that for corporate clients as well. So when I do live streaming for organisations, I take that little ATEM, hook some cameras into it, and I can do a live broadcast for them.
Beautiful.
To Facebook or YouTube or, embedded to websites, anything like that. So it's a little money maker, that little ATEM. So if you fellow podcasters are out there, totally recommend an ATEM. You can do it on any two cameras that have an output. So if you've got an output that you can go to HDMI, you can run an ATEM switcher. So you can set yourself up doing the real minimal, bare minimum sort of setup through an ATEM. You could probably get it done less than $1,000.
Oh, wow.
If you really hunted around in shops, yeah.
Okay. Facebook Marketplace?
Yeah. Well, if you went to get a second-hand camera, that sort of thing. So
okay.
If you've got two second-hand DSLRs that have a HDMI output, or not necessarily HDMI, it's something that can be converted to an HDMI output. You don't even need the HDMI specifically. You can then run an ATEM switcher. And you just need a computer to run it in the back end. And most computers these days will run the graphics for that. You'd have to have a pretty horrible computer that wouldn't do it for you.
That's true.
So that's the other expense. You'd need a computer too. So,
but do you need can you use a laptop, or would you need a proper?
Yeah, no, I run it on a laptop. Yeah, I run it on a little iMac Pro.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, so the back end of this is two machines. So I have the internet searcher, which I then run to this screen. So if we want to search anything on the internet, I can put that to line.
Beautiful.
And obviously the recorder. I've got a machine that records all of our content. So we get a video stream and a video and a audio stream out of it. That's basically how it works. And then you broadcast to whatever platforms that you work on. I work on Anchor, which is the RSS site. I can't remember what RSS stands for. Don't ask me. I don't know what that stands for. But essentially, it's an aggregate site. So you put all your content on there, and then it will bleed it out to all the other platforms.
Okay.
So for me, that's iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple iTunes, Amazon.
And Anchor does all of that.
Yeah, once you embed it there, it will populate all the other sites for you.
Wow.
Because you can't go around to all the sites and populate it. It's too tedious. And they have different interfaces, different rules. So it's good to go to an aggregate site. The only thing that I run separate is the YouTube channel. So there's Anchor and YouTube. That's all where I run it all through. And then that basically will get you everywhere that you can listen to a podcast. So I don't think there's a platform I'm not on. Okay. So it can be done. It can be done on a very shoestring budget.
Wow. So I'm definitely going to be looking into Anchor. And so I wanted to ask you about Anchor. What's the cost involved?
Anchor's free.
It's free. So and it populates automatically.
Yeah, man. Yeah, Anchor's free.
Wow.
They on their site they will play ads on your content. That's how they make their money. Yeah. But they won't play ads. They also have I would imagine like an enterprise agreement with Spotify. I don't think I've triggered ads on my Spotify. Unless if you subscribe to Spotify, you won't get ads on my podcast. If you don't subscribe to Spotify, you'll get ads on my podcast. That's right, yeah. But because it's free, I don't get any of that revenue. So if you pay for an aggregate site, then you get all the revenue. Okay. And when I mean all the revenue, it's not a lot of revenue.
Yeah, it's what is it, 0.00...
0.06 cents an ad. I think, and that's pretty generous. I think YouTube's lower.
How many viewers do you get? Listeners, I should say.
Well, I get my viewership goes anywhere between 20 to 200, sometimes higher. But my listenership goes from anywhere from 20 to 2,000.
That's good.
Yeah, so yeah, it's slowly growing. Big shout out to the Spotify audience out there. You guys are awesome. And the iHeartRadio guys, you guys are growing.
You guys are growing.
So 89% of my listenership is in Australia and 6% in the States. And I think I've got 3% in Ireland. And
wow.
Yeah, and I've got...
Ireland, all the way over there.
Yeah, all the way over in Ireland. I don't know what my appeal is over there, but apparently there is one. And I get listeners in Germany, Indonesia, Malaysia. There's a few other little countries.
Now you're going to get a Taiwan. I've got a good friend of mine. He's a film director.
Okay.
And I was just doing a talk, motivational talk. And I'm looking at that beer and I'm thinking,
you want one?
Yeah, I'd love one actually.
I knew that would happen. It always happens on the Pagey train. Someone goes, "No, I'll be cordial, and I'll be disciplined, and I'll be tight-lipped, and I'll make sure that I say the right things on the show." Oh no, just give me one of those beers, it'll be all right. Heavy right. No,
6 beers later.
6 beers later, you'll be fine.
So my good friend Adrian Fang.
Okay, big shout out, Adrian.
Big shout out, Adrian. And he invited me to go to speak to his students. And look, we were having a chat about mindset, about how you can be happy, how to increase your immunity through COVID-19, all these things.
That's important stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, they really enjoyed it, and had about 38 people on there. About 20 of them were students. Then I had some teachers, even had the director of the school on there as well. Even said, when all this settles down and whatnot, that I can come over to Taiwan and actually do a lecture there for them. And
that'd be great.
Yeah.
Well, dude, I think it sounds like we're ready to do this show. What do you reckon?
I think we are, man.
I think we're ready to do it. Yeah.
I thought we were already
cheers,
on the show.
man.
Aren't we already?
We already are. I do play the 0 segments. But I still got to do the intro. Got to do the intro, right?
Yep.
So here we go. You ready to go there, Miss T? And welcome to the Pagey Train. Today I have in the studio with me Helder Fernandes, inspirational speaker, MC, and general host for anything that you need hosted. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, and looking forward to going on this adventure here today.
Well, you're certainly aboard the Pagey Train in the drinks cart. No doubt about that. Thanks for doing the show at short notice.
Thank you for having me.
You're on my target list, but you just had to advance further down the list sooner rather than later.
Okay. Got shortlisted.
Well, what I do is, I do a round robin. I ring 4 guests in a month in advance, and sometimes I ring 6 guests and go, when's a good time to do a show with you? And then I put it in my spreadsheet, and then I give them a call. But I kind of got all caught up and on my guest list because sometimes things get chaotic. And I had a cancellation. I'm like, oh, well, he's in the next batch of my targets. So I'm like, well, who do I target? I go, Helder will do it. He'll come around. He'll do a solid for me.
Yeah, done.
So motivational speaking. So what got you into motivational speaking?
Yeah, that's a great question. And a lot of people ask me that. So I remember myself when I was younger, I struggled a lot with mindset. I struggled a lot with understanding who I am. And I remember being about 7 years old, the first time that I actually cooked. And I'm sitting down, looking at this mirror, and I can see my eyes looking back in the reflection. And I said, I'm hungry, I need to cook. And I started to give myself all these motivational things. Be like, you just read all those books. You've just done that. You've just done this. You've just done that. Okay, you can do it. You can do it. And that was where it began. And then I was able to cook, even though it had no salt in the soup. But it doesn't matter. And then after that, I just started to keep enhancing my mind and my mindset with different courses and knowledge, life experience. And now here I am.
Well, so motivational speaking, that's about being positive, looking. Is it more than just looking at the the silver lining in a bad situation? Is it more than that?
It's way more than that. It's not just a silver lining. We have to really look deeper than that. We have to look deeper down to the root cause. Why is this actually happening? And why are we putting ourselves in this situation for this to happen? And why are these thoughts coming up? If these thoughts are coming up from childhood, usually between 0 and 7 years old, we have so much influence in our life that we really need to have a look at that as well, because we neglect it and we overlook it. So it's important to see that and then move forward. And it's always, like you were saying before, coming back to that.
Yeah, okay. Well, I guess as well, it's interesting you say, how we're affected from 0 to 7, because, I talk to a lot of artists, and we all seem to have the same problem, and that's that imposter monster. That's that voice that shows up, usually when you're tired. It doesn't it doesn't show up when you're, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. It shows up when you're at your most vulnerable, and it will tell you that you can't do this. It will tell you that you have no business doing this. This is a common thing with writers, musicians, actors, feeling out of place, feeling that they don't deserve what they're doing. They haven't earned what they're doing. And that voice shows up. And I generally, when I talk to people about that, I find it is from their childhood. When I listen to my own imposter monster, it took me a while to identify where did that voice actually originate. And it's usually by someone putting you down when you were younger.
That's right.
And that voice stays with you.
100%.
But you go through techniques to sort of mute that voice and to rearrange what that vernacular is?
Yeah, so these psychological things, NLP therapy, which is one of the things that neurolinguistics programming, for the viewers who don't know what NLP is, it's really about understanding the mind. And there's another technique, which is timeline therapy involved, which is also NLP. And we go back in time to the root cause where these things happened, but we approach it in a way where we don't judge it. We just see it for what it is, and then we come back to now. And there's a certain way of actually processing it and actually doing the technique. You can't just, go and make it happen. However, it's important to just be, to really just see and be comfortable. If you're not comfortable, then maybe that's not the right time for you to go dive deep into that.
Yeah, that's true as well. You've got to be comfortable. Other advice I've given to people before as well, especially people that are looking for a partner. And when I talk to them, I go, it doesn't sound like you like yourself. And I go, what do you mean? I say, well, you're looking for someone to like you. But if you can't like yourself, how could you expect someone to like you? You got to have confidence in yourself first 100%. Before you find a partner. Because if you don't have confidence in yourself, you may find a partner, but you may find yourself in a toxic relationship by doing that.
That is so on point.
Yeah,
that is so on point.
You got to really enjoy. I say to people, you got to enjoy your own company. If you don't enjoy your own company, then how do you expect someone else to hang around with you?
That's right.
You got to enjoy your own company. But sometimes silence can be deafening. It's when that imposter monster shows up. No wonder you're lonely. No one likes you anyway. All of these negative voices.
How did you overcome that?
I think I overcome that by reprogramming myself. And it's still, don't get me wrong, I'm constantly reprogramming because that negativity it's like that battle is never over. I don't believe it's ever over. It gets diluted, but if you don't keep a guard at the gate, someone will get in.
That's true.
But I think I did it through sort of I think you gave a terminology to it. What was it? Neuro language reprogramming.
Neurolinguistics programming.
Yeah, programming. Right. I think I've done it that way.
Okay.
Listening to that, I'm a big believer in like the muscle. The brain is a muscle, and the way you exercise it, the way it remembers. It's also a computer. What you put into it is what you'll get out of it. If you tell yourself
the most powerful computer that we have.
It's the most powerful computer known to existence.
Yes.
When you think about it, it's the only thing that can study itself in nature.
Wow.
Right? When you think about it that way, it's a very powerful thing. The brain can give you Da Vinci.
That's true.
But it also can give you Stalin. Right? It can be wielded for evil as well, right? But I think with myself, I think I got over things by telling myself that I'm a good person and taking stock of what I possess rather than I don't have. When we get negative, we tend to go, well, I don't have this, and if only my situation was different, it would be okay. But the reality is that your situation isn't different, and this is what you've got. So when you take stock of what you actually possess, you then have the ability to then action it put it into action. So you can come up with a plan. You go, well, I possess these 12 things, and I have these 6 friends, and I've got this idea, and now it becomes manageable. Now it becomes real. When you start talking about the things that you don't possess, that you can't do anything with the money you don't have.
Exactly.
So you need to think about what you actually possess. So I took stock of myself, and I started telling myself in a positive way. And I always get tripped up with it, especially when I'm tired and I'm working. I always have to remind myself, no, you're on the right path. You're doing the right thing, and you're doing a good thing. Especially for me, when money gets involved, it can be stressful. So you just want to earn a living.
Of course.
Ultimately, and when you don't cover all the bills all the time, that can be depressing, and that can get you down, especially as an artist or as a someone that works for themselves.
It's a narrative that I want to challenge fellow artists.
I think that's what I mean. I think it's quite serendipitous that you've ended up in the studio at this time and at this point in history. But I think by telling people that they're doing okay is good. By reminding people not to put themselves down is good. I think Misty's got the best saying for that, actually. Don't put yourself down. Don't talk yourself out of it, because you don't need people putting you down or whatever. You do enough of that yourself.
That's right.
Well, you've got that covered. But the negative voice seems to be the louder one. Like the guy that's inspirational inside you doesn't have a megaphone.
That's right. So. It's these topics, these things, the human nature, how interesting we are. I often will sit down and I'll just ponder to myself, and I'll think, human nature, how interesting we are. That we go through these struggles and, you know, hurdles, and just to come out the other side and actually look back and reflect on our life and think, can I do that a little bit differently? Or could I have done it a bit differently? But it's about having that awareness, but not judging it.
Yeah.
You know? So we judge too much of our society, especially in Australia with the tall poppy syndrome and all of that. It's, you know, everyone watching out there, I'm going to challenge you, like, you know, what we're speaking about right now. I'm going to challenge you to challenge that narrative of, you know, that imposter syndrome of you are good enough, you can do it. You know, you have this amazing world, so many resources at your fingertips, and it all starts off by looking yourself in the mirror every day and saying, hey, I love you. You're the sexiest person in the world. I love you so much. You know, I fucking love you.
Yeah. Now, it's an important thing to think as well. And as well, I think my motivational space is the shower. When I'm in the shower, it's very motivational, especially when you get out of bed.
Are you a shower singer?
I'm a shower singer for sure.
Can we hear a little bit of that?
Oh, no, not right now. I think the neighbours have had enough of me singing in the last 24 hours. No, I'm a shower singer. I'm a car singer. I recommend people to sing, even if they can't sing. It is good for you. It's good for you. Everything is rhythmic, right?
To release.
Yeah, well, I think another analogy I use for this sort of conversation is when I go bodyboarding when I'm in the ocean.
Okay, nice.
Because when you're in the ocean, you've got.
Whereabouts do you go bodyboarding?
I mainly go surfing in Perth, but I do it over here.
Oh,
so
wow.
the Pacific Ocean's a different beast.
Okay.
But there are some decent point breaks out this way. But my favourite breaks are definitely in Perth.
Have you surfed in Tassie?
No, I haven't surfed down there.
Mate, I don't know how the people do it.
No,
so
you
cold.
get used to it. You get used to it.
Yeah. My friend was telling me that your feet just get numb. You've seen all these guys. You know, it's 1 degree, 2 degrees, 3 degrees, and they're all out there on their board.
Urinating in your wetsuit can be quite a pleasurable experience, but just back to my analogy though, I just think when I'm in the ocean, right, if you don't get in sync with those waves, they will kill you, right? If you get in sync with them, you'll have the best ride of your life, and then you're just this little speck in this chaotic ocean, and you've got the whole ocean behind you, and the wave that is showing up was predetermined before you got up that morning. It was set in motion before you arrived at the beach. But you arrived at the beach, you paddle out, and there it is. And you've got a choice. Do we get in sync with it? Or do I fight against it? And if I fight against it, it's going to be the most horrendous experience. But if I get in sync and charge with it, and have a bit of bravery and drop in on it, and then start to carve, all of a sudden I'm having a ride. And I think life is very much like that. If you don't get in sync with life, it will chew you up.
It's very, very true.
And so I find that is a very good analogy. I think music is a good analogy. Singing, letting your voice out is important. I think visualizing what you want is important. Your auto experience with yourself, what you tell yourself is important. What you tell others is important.
You sound like a motivational speaker. Get you on stage.
It's been said before. It has been said before. I do like to inspire people. I like to, and hence the show, like running a podcast and doing a festival. I like to inspire people.
It's amazing.
I like to get the best out of them and to make them realise, especially in Western Sydney, you don't need to be ashamed of your postcode. You're fine the way you are. In fact, you're more marketable the way you are. You have a story.
That's right.
Well,
especially now.
Yeah, totally. If you're from Western Sydney, you definitely have a story. It's definitely a unique story. And most people that are in Western Sydney are either first, second generation Australians, right?
Yeah.
Or they're First Nation Australians, right? There is such a contrast of different cultures, languages, arts in Western Sydney.
So did you know that Liverpool is actually the most diverse city in the world?
Wow. I believe it.
Most diverse. It was a couple of years ago. I'm not sure if it still is currently. However, most diverse in the world. That's just, I love that. For me, culture, like you were saying before, culture, different people, different food, and everybody's getting along. We have
mostly getting along.
Mostly getting along.
Yeah.
We have all these dramas around the world. Sometimes I just think, you know what? Get off your high horse. Come to Liverpool.
Yeah, go to Westfields, Liverpool. Check it out.
Come to Liverpool.
Come to the festival and live.
Come to the festivals. Come to Lakemba when they've got the festival. And it's 24 hours, and everyone's eating food on the street.
Yeah, there is a really.
beautiful.
I love the culture in Liverpool. Actually, when you walk through Liverpool Mall, you see people playing ping pong. You see people playing chess. You see the older generation people like smoking
that main
and
street.
Yeah.
They play chess. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
What's that drag there?
I can't remember what it's called.
It's opposite the
Macquarie Mall.
Westfield.
It's Macquarie. It's Macquarie Mall. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Macquarie Mall, man. There's people like smoking and having coffee. And you could walk through there and you'll hear 6 different languages.
It's amazing.
And everyone's playing chess and playing ping pong or going about their day shopping. And you'll see a variety of different stores where you can get different meat, different vegetables. I think Liverpool is an unpredicted jewel in the future because it is literally the doorway to the metropolis that's coming. Because you've got the airport going in.
Yeah.
And that's the first gateway, right? Liverpool is the first gateway to that connection to the city.
Well, it's Liverpool City.
Yeah.
That's what it's called now, Liverpool City.
And it should be. It should be. Even when I was growing up in the area, because I grew up near Liverpool.
Okay.
I grew up in Campbelltown.
Ah, beautiful.
Well, the irony for me, like I've got a bit of a cool backstory when it comes to Liverpool, because when I was a child, we used to have the first cinema we had was Demerrick Street Cinemas in Campbelltown. Still there, by the way, a really good twin cinema. But that's what the experience was in Australia. You know,
I think my brother's gonna go there today.
Okay.
To that one, yeah.
Well, well, most cinemas were twin cinemas. You'd have one cinema and then, the primary cinema 1 and cinema 2. That was it. And then the multiplexes started coming out. And the first multiplex came to Liverpool. And that's that's where the festival is now. So the first time I went to really see a really big VMAX film was at Liverpool. And it's the same cinema where I get the show Made in the West.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, so I grew up going to that cinema.
Wow.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, when because it was Greater Union back then, but out at Campbelltown, then the Greater Union popped up there.
Do you remember the Greater Union song?
Yeah. You want to escape to the movies, Greater Union. That's what I want. Yeah, that was the old. That's the old jingle. Everyone knows that jingle.
That's great.
Yeah, well, ironically, some of the market things that I do, the things I do for profit, are for ads that play before those cinema ads, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So I do that sort of thing. But yeah, it's just amazing how it goes full circle where I'm, on leave from work and I'm in Liverpool watching Lord of the Rings on this really big screen, and then 15 years later I'm running a festival in exactly the same cinema. So it's good to not only bring it back to
I love
the West.
that. Absolutely love that. It's so like.
Yeah, it's got a wholesomeness to it.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's got a lot of joy and energy in it. Yeah,
it's great.
And I think that for that to happen to me was just absolutely amazing. It's just absolutely fantastic. But you do. You've been doing a bit of motivational speaking of a late. Tell us about that.
Yeah.
So you're doing a recent speaking event.
Yeah, so I was just mentioning before. We had a speaking event with a couple of great friends of mine and actors. So we had Luke Ford from The Mummy. I'm not sure if you remember The Mummy.
Yeah, I know The Mummy.
Last Mummy. Yeah, and he also Black Balloon, where he did an incredible performance. And then we had Luke Ford there. He was speaking
shout out to Luke.
Big shout out to Luke. I'll be sending this to you. And he spoke about the struggles that he went through and how he overcame them. And really about mindset. We started to talk about Dr. Joe Dispenza. We started to talk about how to be happy with yourself, how to, just be comfortable in your own shoes and not judge yourself. And really speaking about that. And then we had Merjan, Merjan, who was there as well. He's one of the shows that he was on is C. On Apple. I'm not sure if you know C, the show with Jason Momoa.
I don't. It's the only one I don't subscribe to. I subscribe to everything else except for Apple and Fox.
That's okay. There's a few. If you have a look, there's a few.
I should. Yeah. Sorry, what was that fellow's name?
Merjan Aria.
Marjan Aria. Big shout out, mate. Big shout out.
Yeah, I saw him at the Iran Film Festival.
Okay, the Iranian Film Festival. Yeah. Where do they hold that?
That's the Dendy in Newtown.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a pretty stylish venue, actually. I like
it's
that
really
venue.
nice. I like it. It's I love these little venues as well, like the Palace Cinema in Leichhardt.
Yeah, that's a great venue.
Yeah. So Merjan spoke about his journey, spoke about mindset. He had a few questions for Luke because he was even saying growing up, Merjan won the Heath Ledger Scholarship.
Oh, wow.
And growing up, he actually he saw Luke as a great actor up and coming, and he was actually asking a few questions there. And it was such a beautiful couple of moments that I saw there between them and just everyone. And then Noel G. Whelan, who was there as well, talking about his experience on set. And he had a funny story about when his pants got ripped from back to front and then the director was like, whatever you do, don't rip the suit.
Yeah,
don't rip it.
It's the only one they got.
Exactly. And what happens? He
rips it straight away.
Yeah.
Well, there's another way sometimes to word that. Like Misty would even say to me, "Don't word the negative. Don't tell people what they shouldn't do. Tell them what they should be doing. Make sure you keep that suit intact.
Exactly. So
rather than don't rip it.
Our brain can't actually read that. If you say to a child, "Don't do that," they don't actually hear the word "don't." All they hear is "do that."
Yeah, that's right.
So don't put the glass on the table like that. They're thinking in their mind, "Okay, I'm going to put it like that."
Yeah, well, it becomes an option. It becomes an option. Whether they do or don't, it's still an option, right? So don't put that in as an option to rip your pants. Put it as an option is to keep it intact. Just make sure you keep that intact.
That's right.
Because now you're looking at the integrity of it rather than the mistake of ripping it. So it's
just to
clarify, same thing, different way to look at it.
Just to clarify as well, Noel G. Whelan, he's 27 years in counter-terrorism.
Oh, wow.
In counter-terrorism. And travel around the world. He's also a military advisor for governments.
Oh, wow.
And also a film military advisor as well.
I should get this guy on the show.
Yeah, why not? Let's
get
him on.
Yeah.
I'll have a chat.
Yeah, have a chat with him.
I'll have a chat with him. He's quite busy at the moment, but I'll see what I can do.
I can talk military all day, man. All day. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And so it was a great experience. He's actually got a book as well. I'll send it to you. It's called Where Demons Dread.
Okay.
And I'll email it to you. You can have a read.
Yeah, man, hook us up with an interview. That'd be great.
Yeah.
It's good to get some. I've only had a couple of veterans on the show, so it'd be good to get someone like that on. That'd be great.
Yeah, definitely. And so we just had this amazing environment. We had about 45 people there, listening and asking questions, and it was just a great experience, overall. And we need more community things like that. That's why I love to support film festivals. That's why I love Made in the West Film Festival. Because it's that community. It's about giving an opportunity for everyone to come along and have their voice heard.
Yeah, it is. It really is. We get a lot of pats on the backs about things. But really all we're doing is setting a platform and allowing rules of that platform to be accessible to everyone. So there's no topic that you have to cover. You can just make the movie you want to make. The only real pressure is the time, so you got to keep it under 15 minutes is pretty much the biggest rule at Made in the West. You got to keep it under 15, and you need to have either made it in Western Sydney or you need to be from Western Sydney and made it, or both. You can do both. All those combinations are welcome.
I wanted to ask you, how far west?
How far west? We go as far as the Blue Mountains.
Any further than that?
No. We haven't. We've never come across that as a problem.
Okay.
But as well, like it depends. Like there's always an angle. If you think about it for filmmakers, what we try to do is encourage people to employ people from Western Sydney, therefore they can then enter the festival.
Yeah.
Or we encourage people to make films in Western Sydney because it creates employment.
Yeah.
That's the deal. So you just need to hire someone from Western Sydney to get your film into the festival. Or just have a scene in Western Sydney, then you can submit it to the festival. It doesn't matter that you live in Lithgow.
Yeah.
Like, what matters is where you made your movie. What matters is who's in your movie. That's what matters. And that's the qualifier for it. The hardest one we have to deal with is how close to the CBD. Like, when does Western Sydney start?
Oh.
Like, we can figure out where it pretty much ends.
Okay, so
it's difficult. Well, once you leave the CBD, you're now west of Sydney.
So Marrickville.
So where's this? Yeah, but
Sydenham.
Well, we take films from Marrickville. We don't think we've ever taken one from Sydenham, actually. But that's an interesting thing, though. Like, it's hard to define what Western Sydney is.
Would Redfern be Western Sydney?
See, that's very close. That's the border.
Yeah.
And you'd think that from the ethos and the posture of Made in the West, you would accept films from Redfern.
Yeah,
because especially having the high population density of first Australians there, we would love to welcome those films.
Of course,
and we would encourage that. But we did because we've recently we've been working on our magazine. We've got a magazine coming out, which we've got more announcements.
Exciting.
We've got more announcements. I can't talk about it too much just yet.
That's exciting.
But we're making a magazine.
That's why I came dressed.
Yeah, we found out some statistics in building the magazine of how many films have been in the festival, how many people have participated, and I do remember our Indigenous content is at about 2%. So 2% of the content we get is Indigenous, but and I think it's like 60-40, so 40% women, 60% men. But I think more women have actually won the festival than men.
Very good.
Yeah, so we've
Nice
got
to see that.
we have more female champions than we do male.
Nice to see that.
And there's a smaller portion of them. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what all that data means yet, but it's certainly interesting to look at.
Would you accept opera films?
Oh, anything.
Okay.
The only thing, anything. Certainly, we all. What do you mean by opera? Like a?
Well, I got a few friends of mine. One of them works in Opera Australia, and I got another friend of mine. He is quite big in the opera community.
Mm-hmm.
He creates operas, performs them, and he also has directed some opera films.
Mm-hmm.
And it'd be great to if you.
What do
if
they
he
mean,
has
like a
that
music
platform.
video or
So it's like a
or a documentary?
It's interesting. It's a bit like the way I understand it. It's a bit like it's a documentary, but it's almost like it's like a musical.
I see. So it's
like
a film essay.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a film essay. Yeah, we accept film essays. Yeah, totally.
It's a bit like that. Yeah.
Film essays are harder to judge because they're on the borderline of being a music video or a doco.
Okay.
So film essays are their own genre, but we accept a big part of Made in the West is we accept all genres, all of them. So whether it's horror, whether it's drama, whether it's documentary, whether it's web series, doesn't matter. Whatever you want to make it. There's no rules to what you need to make. The rules are what's in your heart and what's in your mind.
I was just having a think there for a sec. If people. There's so much energy inside of them, so much love, all these crazy things, crazy things,
Awesome things.
awesome things, and they doubt themselves. And what would you suggest is something that people need to hear? Just a couple of words, because you are a motivational speaker.
Yeah, I guess if you've got an idea or you're thinking about an idea, like this is. Let me do a bit of a preamble into this. Like when I'm in a pub talking to someone and someone figures out you're a filmmaker, they all come up and say the same thing to you. I've got an idea for a movie. You go, okay, do you have a script? And they go, no. So I go, you've got an idea for a script. You don't have an idea for a movie. You have an idea for a script because a script is an idea for a movie, right? You're nowhere near the idea for the movie yet. You've got an idea for a script. If you haven't written anything, you've got an idea for a story, not a movie. Because, this would make a great movie. Everyone says it all the time. So what I recommend to budding storytellers, because if I'm giving advice to a storyteller that thinks that they may have an idea about an idea, right? I would say write down 12 people that you know well that would be in your story. Or be characters in your story that are suited to your story. Write 12 people that you know well that could perform something that you know that could be done. Write down 12 locations that you have access to.
I should be writing this down. This is
should.
great.
Right. This is how
I'm
you
gonna
come.
watch this again.
Because there's no point coming up with an idea of all right. So I've got this movie idea. We go to Mars, and then when we get there, there's this underground Martian army that marches out of the rocks and takes us all out, and it's a coming over adversity film. You go, that sounds great. How much does it cost to shoot that movie? So I guess what I'm really getting to is, don't be afraid to dream, but understand that your dreams have to exist within your budget.
That's right.
So you have to be. It's a paradox. You have to be able to dream, but be realistic at the same time. So, in my advice to being realistic while dreaming is come up with 12 people, 12 actors that would be in your movie, or 5 or 2 or whatever, but no more than 12.
Okay.
Come up with 12 people that can be in your movie. Come up with 12 crew members. Find someone that's going to shoot your movie. Someone's going to edit your movie. Find a place where you can edit it. Make sure you've got the software to do so. Once you've got that, then you've got an idea of how to have an idea. If you could do just like a, I think Saw did it really well. Like, the horror film Saw.
Yeah.
Right.
James won.
Yeah. So they got their idea in a pub. Right. So they're sitting in a pub. They'd won a film contest where they were given, I think, like $500,000. And they're like, how do we make a feature film with $500,000? Because when you think about
They're incredible. I've read a bit about this story. But
yeah. Well, they're in a pub and Mad Max is on the telly. Right. So they're watching Mad Max. And in Mad Max, he goes, here's a saw. That saw is strong enough to cut through your leg, but it is not strong enough to cut through that chain. Have a good day. Right? And he leaves the car on fire. End of the movie, right? So they've gone, all right, so 2 people in a room. So we've got a location that we have access to and 2 people. They based the entire film off two people, a saw that can only cut through bone. That's where they started with that idea. There was no, like, the background bad guy. They didn't have any of that. None of that story existed. All existed was a room and two people and a saw and two chains. And from that, they unpacked an entire empire now. Like, how many
It's one
is
of the
there?
highest grossing films for such a low budget, and horror usually is quite low budget as well.
Yeah, it's a genre film.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a genre film, man. So my advice is, like, pick a room that you have access to. Use a camera that is within your means.
Yeah, get a saw, two people,
Chain them up.
chain them up.
Maybe get some council permits, perhaps.
Yeah,
That might be helpful.
and make sure you put a couple of cameras in there.
And get some GoPros and go nuts. Give these guys chainsaws. Fuck it. But look, but that's my advice to people: be realistic, but don't be afraid to dream.
Yeah,
Like,
that's right.
dream away, but just dream within your means. Another good example would be Clerks. You know the film Clerks by Kevin Smith.
I haven't seen it in such a long
Well,
time.
basically, it's two guys in a convenience store
Okay. Yeah,
talking all
let's come back
day
to me. Yeah.
in black and white. It's two guys. Like, he's got his friends to shoot a movie, and he's written a script around his friends.
Yeah.
People that have the potential to perform that. So that's how that movie was made. It was made on a shoestring budget, with no accessibility to the industry at all. So if you're a budding artist, do something within your means. If you want to, and as well, if you're a musician, you've got choices. Right? You've got other choices as a musician, and same as a filmmaker. You can join a film crew or start a film crew. If you're a director, you're probably starting a film crew. If you want to learn how to be a filmmaker, join a film crew. There's plenty of advertisements for free work out there. Don't you worry.
A lot, especially on Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah, go on Marketplace, man. Like, there's people looking for runners all the
So
time.
where's the fine line between doing free work and doing paid work? What's the line? What do you think is the line?
I think the line is, if you are a beginner, you have to expect to work for free.
Yeah.
If you're just starting out as an actor, you have to expect to work for free. If you're a director that is not paying everyone and constantly working, and you're getting paid, you're taking the piss.
Yeah, that's
like, you got to pay your people.
That's right.
For me, every time I have an opportunity to pay my people, I pay them. And if I can't, I enroll them in the idea. Like, I can't pay you on this, but you'll get lunch. Get lunch and I'll get you drunk. I can pay you that. And that's usually a good deal. Well, you got to feed everyone. Feed everyone and get them drunk at the party.
It reminds me of it's like a first date. It's like I'll give you a meal and I'll get you drunk.
Yeah.
That's all I can.
But
promise.
I need you to make love to my camera, and I think. But as musicians though, you have a choice. You can either start a band or join a band. So both are as equally as hard as each other. They have their own pros and cons. If you're a writer, most people that are writers, there's two kinds of writers that I run into. Those that write and don't publish, and those that don't write and wish to publish. It's the same with comedians, as well. Like, all comedians want to be musicians, and all musicians want to be comedians. Man, the grass is always greener. But the thing is, if you're pursuing art, understand that when you first start doing it, you're not going to make money. Understand that you shouldn't be doing it for the money. Understand that you should be doing it out of passion.
This comes back down to my philosophy, which is what I help people to understand. Well, actually, I don't. Let me rephrase that. I don't help anyone. I just show how you can live that way, which is falling in love with your journey, falling in love with your story. Yeah,
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
So falling in love with your story is something that, we as a society struggle with, and then when we start to fall in love with that, and we don't have these expectations, we start to follow from our heart, and our heart and our mind are in sync. And when we're in sync, remember we were talking about the waves. When we're in sync and we connect to the natural rhythm of the world, because we emit the same frequency. Humans emit the same frequency that the earth emits. And when we're in sync with all of that, we're unstoppable.
Yeah, we're on the wave.
And everything just aligns the way it needs to.
But if you're not on the wave, you're in chaos. You're drowning.
That's right.
You're drowning, and the next wave's about to hit. The next opportunity is about to knock you over, rather than be an assist to you.
100%.
Yeah. So I definitely think that way. But I think but you got to, whatever analogy works for you. But I think scientists. I know that scientists have done a lot of study into this. They've found that your neuroactivity just doesn't exist in your brain. It actually exists in other parts of your body. That they have found that there is neural activity in your heart region. So neurons are being fired off of nervous system in your heart. and in your gut as well. So we always have it like a gut feeling.
They say our gut is our first brain.
It's our first brain. That's exactly right. And science shows that this is true through evolution.
Yep, that's right.
If you look at little gut organisms that are floating in the ocean, they have fear responses. They understand when danger's about. They don't think of E equals MC squared. They're not a brain that thinks like that, but they're a brain that can avoid danger or find a partner. Right, so they're a brain that can do that, and that's your gut. Your gut understands that. Your heart, when we describe emotions, we talk about the heart. It's actually found that there is more neural activity sent from your heart to your brain than your brain to your heart. Did you know that?
Wow.
Your heart sends more messages to the brain than your brain sends to the heart.
Wow.
So it is information heavy.
Well, it makes sense when we hear about this, when you get a heart transplant and they start to have vivid memories or dreams of the other person.
That's crazy. That's a crazy thought. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
That's true, though. It would be.
And thinking about, like, every single cell in our body, our DNA is all identical. So wouldn't it make sense that every single cell would have the capability and the possibility to create and fire things?
And host memories.
Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. Cells have, we call it muscle memory.
That's right.
When you're doing workout in the gym, you become better at it because your muscles become more aware of what's going on.
And that's with everything. That's the muscle of the brain. That's the muscle of, consistently, okay, you might have failed. You might, the word failure. Try again, just keep going.
Yeah, failure, the word I replace with failure is lesson. It's a lesson.
What did I learn from this?
What did I learn from it? Like, did I
learn from this?
Did I fuck up or did someone else fuck up? It doesn't matter.
It really doesn't.
It doesn't matter.
It really doesn't. And it's not about getting bogged down in that. It's about overcoming that. And like, yep.
Easier said than done, though, because emotions are an interesting thing. Well, we're talking about the brain, right? When you talk about IQ, you also have EQ, emotional intelligence. Yeah. You can measure. The interesting thing about IQ is it used to be thought that IQ couldn't be increased, but it's now proven that you can increase your IQ. And it's true. Like when you think about it, if you read more, and we all know this, when you read more, you become sharper. So you just do.
You're completely right. So the oldest people that live to be an old age, to the oldest people, are actually women. And a lot of these women, they actually read crime novels, romance, crime, all these different types of novels. And it's quite interesting. My great-grandmother is still alive. Thank you for being here, and I'm going to visit you once the borders open up.
Big shout out.
Big shout out. She's 98 this year.
Oh, wow. Good innings.
And, she's, her husband, my great-grandfather, passed away close to 20 years ago. And every day she reads 3, 4, 5 hours. She's gardening. I can't believe it.
98 and still out in the yard. Gardening, digging holes.
I remember her, it's a bit touching, but I remember her telling me at 89 years old, look, I'm probably not going to see you next year.
Yeah.
And I said, really? I said, you know what? Don't think about it. You read, you garden.
Yeah.
And then I've still got to come here and eat your food. You can't be, it's crazy talk. Don't be saying that.
Yeah, don't be bringing in those negative waves.
Yeah, that's right. And now she's 98 this year. And hopefully I'll be there next year to celebrate her 99th. And
hopefully she gets a letter from the Queen. Do they still do that?
I don't know, but she's in Portugal. So I don't know if she get a letter from the Queen.
Oh, okay.
Maybe the president.
Yeah, no, I don't think I think that between the Portuguese and the English, there's a bit of bad blood there back in the past. With the whole colonialisation of the world, the colonialisation. I'll put that out. Colonialisation.
But it's funny you say that because the oldest alliance in history is between England and Portugal.
Really?
Yeah. Over 250 years old at the moment.
Wow.
Give or take 5 years or 10.
Yeah, well, maybe not exact to the. You've got it in the decade space, though.
Yeah,
not the year space.
Exactly.
That's all right. We'll let you off on that. We don't need to fact check you on that. Yeah, but I think don't think as well. Let me rephrase that. It's known that in the brain that we release a different biochemistry that causes us to react or respond. If you have more cortisol in your brain, which is inhibited by stress. You can have a hippocampus, what do you call it? Amygdala, sorry. The amygdala hijack, they call it. You have an amygdala hijack where you are just purely acting on emotion. And in evolutionary periods, this is important because if you're being chased by wolves and you're at the cliff edge...
And you need this.
Yeah, you need a cortisol because cortisol lowers your IQ. It forces you. It doesn't force you, but it allows you to make stupid decisions. Because if you've got a choice between being eaten by wolves and jumping off the cliff into water, but you've got your brain logically knows I've got a 30% chance of surviving this fall, which means I've got a 70% chance of not surviving this fall. When you've got cortisol in your brain, it's easier to make that decision to leap.
So it's interesting. Caffeine actually breaks down muscle, which turns into adrenaline. And if you have too much of it, it brings cortisol into your body.
Yeah, I always know when I've had a cortisol rush because you feel immediately stupid and emotional. You can't be as cognitive, and you can't. And usually, when I've had an emotional experience, these days I try to step away for 15 minutes.
You know, I just have to admire. You know, I've got to admire this man here in front of me. You, my friend,
Shucks.
you have such awareness, and it's so beautiful to see. You know how many fellow men and women as well, but I'm referring now to men who just don't have awareness of themselves, who don't know themselves that well. You know, and it's really nice to see that. You know.
Yeah, man, but I think it's about personality types. I believe there's 5 personality types out there. There's personalities that are aware of themselves but know that they can't change. There's a personality type out there that are aware of themselves and have the ability to change. There's people that are out there that are not aware of their own personality. And there's people that are out there that have the ability to change but can't change. And there's those that have the ability to change but not aware. So there's these different personality types that are out there, and we're all sort of chemically geared that way. But I'm a big proponent for being able to change that. Like we used to,
definitely.
We used to believe that you couldn't change IQ, but
Yeah.
it turns out you can.
Well,
you can change IQ.
As years go by, we're always having things that are challenging the narrative that have been created for us. It's like before the 1 minute mile. They believed that they couldn't be done. You couldn't go further than that.
Impossible.
Yep.
Turns out wrong.
Wrong.
Can't break the speed of sound. Wrong. Of course you can.
You can't fly in a metallic bird.
Yeah, no, wrong. You can't. Of course you can. All these things are totally possible.
Can't go
Going
to
into
the moon.
space. Can't go to the moon.
Can't go to the space.
Yeah, all right. You can't split the atom.
I feel like I'm in outer space right now.
So do I, actually. When you look at EQ, emotional intelligence, they've always known that you can modify your emotional intelligence, but it's all set up through neural pathways. It's what you tell yourself. If you tell yourself that you're a piece of shit, you're going to eventually believe it.
That's right.
Because you've set that neural pathway.
100%.
And if you program yourself that way, you will always feel that.
It becomes about boundaries with yourself. It becomes about your own values and boundaries with yourself. And saying, okay, hold up a sec. Can't believe I just said that. You know what? That's okay. I forgive myself. But I'm having the awareness, to move forward. I'm having the awareness to look back on that.
Yeah, accountability without judgment. You have to recognise and
Correct.
own your actions, but at the same time going, well, but that was me at that time, and
That's right.
and now
And
today
that's
I can be
okay.
different.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
You know?
You got to forgive yourself because we all fuck up. We all make mistakes.
Surrendering. We have to surrender to what has been and surrender to what is right now.
Well, another way to look at it as well is to, this is advice I've taken from Misty, actually. This is a very good one, is that to look upon your situation. Because when you're in your situation, you're emotionally charged. It's hard to see outside the box. When you stand outside the box, you can look at it and identify and go, well, that's over there, and that's what that thing is. When you look upon it, if you can look upon your situation, you can give it better definition, being able to look upon it. And as well, I got some other friends I've got that have fucked up monumentally. And they said, "Man, I've done this, and it's really affected all these people." I go, "Well, you got to think about it. You're a powerful person, and by you fucking up this bad, you affected 100 people, right?" They go, "Yeah." I said, "And that's the power that you have. That's even though you fucked up, you have to recognize that when you fuck up, it affects everyone. So you must be a powerful person."
Wow, interesting.
So
That's a way of putting it.
yeah, it is, because if you fucked up in such a way, it means that you had some form of responsibility. It means you had some form of custodianship, and it means you've boggled that up in some way. And if it's affected a whole bunch of people, it means you're a powerful person. So you have the power to change that problem.
What a great way of putting it. What a great way of putting it.
I really believe that, because you've got to give praise to where it is. That's why I asked you at the start of the show, is a motivational speaking about giving a silver lining, or is it really about changing the optics on a situation? Because we could look at anything, it's so many different ways.
It's about changing the optics. It's about having that awareness. It's about, not judging yourself, but at the same time, not judging yourself, period. It's about looking at it. I'm trying to keep the terminology simple. I don't want to get too complicated with
Oh,
the
no, that's
terminology.
okay. No, get complicated. People don't mind. They don't mind. Let it fly, man. But I say, look upon it. Definitely look upon it. I don't. But I don't know. I think for me, I can't even tell me what to do. Like when someone tries to tell me what to do,
So here's something interesting.
I don't respond well.
So here's something interesting. I'm gonna.
Especially if I get told I can't do something.
Oh yeah.
If I get told I can't do something, that's like a rag to a bull. Well, it actually doesn't matter. That's a red flag I found out. Well, you know, a red flag to a bull.
Oh, okay.
But I've actually found out.
I thought you said rag to a bull.
Yeah, a rag to a bull. I say a rag to a bull because it turns out that bulls don't care about red.
Oh.
They just care about the rag. Like you move something, if you wave in front of them, it's the motion that makes them aggressive, not the colour.
Okay.
Yeah, if you wave a blue flag in front of a bull aggressively, they go, they hate that too. Like, it doesn't matter. It's like a rag to a bull. Yeah. Like you can stand in red and stand in the middle of a bull pen, right? And you can have a whole bunch of guys in blue that are antagonising a bull, and the bull won't go anywhere near the red guy.
Wow.
They respond to motion.
So really,
their eyes
they're
work
quite
on motion.
intelligent. Well, they're just intelligent beings.
Of course they are. Of course they are. Well, speaking of intelligence, like you look at cows, right? Cows are thought to be these dumb animals that just stand and chew cud all day. I'm not that I'm a vegetarian. I love beef, by the way. Before I go into this, I love McDonald's probably too much. But
This is not sponsored by McDonald's.
this is definitely not sponsored by McDonald's. But if you look at, there's videos out there of people being playful with cows. Like cows respond like dogs, like because we find dogs affectionate, and if people that eat dogs, we're like, oh, well, that's taboo. You can't do that. They're man's best friend, man. What the fuck you doing?
Yep.
But yet we go and eat all these cows.
So
I think it's a weird way we look at shit, man.
yeah, look,
It's all the optics. It's all how we look at it.
it really is. For me personally, like I'm not vegan. However, I do enjoy a vegan lifestyle. I really enjoy eating. 1, 2, 3, 4 days a week. I don't think about it. Just it's convenient. It's easy. And I'm getting the nutrients into my body, makes me feel lighter. But I do love meat as well. But the way that I consume it, I try to go more organic. Has the animal had a good life? I try to go for more wild game, all of that stuff. So
Me too. I try to.
We try. Yeah, and that's this first couple of steps of it. There was a great documentary, Seaspiracy, that I watched. Have you seen it?
I haven't seen this one, no.
Oh, mate, you got
Hard hitting. Well,
You
it
gotta
turned me
watch
into a vegetarian.
I don't think so.
Because I've got these vegetarian mates that go, you got to watch this, it'll turn you into a vegetarian. I'm like, no, I now understand how the sausage is made, but I'm still going to eat it, man. Like it will pass. It will pass. I'm a human. Of course it will.
It won't. Look, for some people it will, but I believe that it won't for yourself. But it is more about understanding where the fish come from, and how they affect our ecology, how they affect.
Yeah, totally. Well, I know about this
everything.
in general. I just know about this in general. Like, even like, for instance, fish farming, right? You would think that fish farming sounds like an environmentally friendly thing,
But it's not.
but it's not. It turns out it's not.
No.
Doesn't matter what we do.
There is
Doesn't matter
actually.
what we do.
It's funny you said that because there's actually a really, really good fish farm, but it's not considered a fish farm. So this place in Spain, one of the main rivers in the south of Spain, they filled it up with all this soil and dirt and whatnot, and they try to have cows on there. Yeah, I don't know if you've heard of the Argentinian beef, the Argentinian cattle, how it's like amazing and all this stuff.
Well, I'm going to go
In
check
terms
it out. I
of-
can
in
tell you
terms of
that.
quality. Yeah, it's like an Angus, in terms of quality. Anyway,
Yeah, I love beef, man.
they
Big
had
beef fan.
in Spain. They had.
I'd get a
all
pet
these-
cow though. I would get a pet cow.
Yeah,
Would I eat the pet cow? Would you eat the pet cow?
No,
No,
don't do that.
Don't do that.
I had a pet chicken once.
Did you eat the chicken?
Oh mate, no, I didn't eat the chicken, but I got home.
Man, I know I'm going to sidetrack, but I've got an awesome rooster story for you if you want
Do
it.
you?
I've got an
Yeah.
awesome rooster story.
Can I quickly finish this story?
How long have we got to go, Misty?
You got time?
Oh, we got time. Well, you finish the
Yeah?
story and I'll
Alright,
tell you my rooster
alright,
story.
So, south of Spain, filled it up with soil. They realized it wasn't working because it was all marshland, and so they got rid of all the soil again. And what they've done is they introduced all the fish, the natural, the natural fish. So the runoff from all the agriculture comes at the beginning. They've got all these prawns and whatnot that's eating, and then afterwards got all these. It's just like stage, but it's all natural. And the way that they measure it is they measure it on the health of the birds. So it's
So it's aquafarming as well. So aquafarming and ecology. I gotcha.
Yeah, so it's they measure the health of the birds. If they study the birds, and if the birds are healthy, then the fish is healthy, and that's how they know.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, they are birds are an indicator of the environment. Like frogs, frogs are a good indicator of the environment. Fish are a great indicator of the environment. Like there's dudes out there that are big on eating fish, and they've got mercury poisoning. Like
Tony Robbins, he actually got mercury poisoning.
Yeah, from eating fish, yeah?
Yeah, so from eating big fish, so swordfish. So what happens is all these big fish...
Because they're the predator fish, and they eat all the little fish that collect the mercury, right?
That's right.
Yeah, because mercury... Well,
if only it was like that with gold, you just...
Gold doesn't do that, unfortunately.
Got too much gold in me, I better go take it out.
Well, the problem with gold and mercury, right, is especially lead. So not gold and mercury, sorry. Lead and mercury, they have similar problems.
That's where the Mad Hatter story comes from.
Yeah, man, because lead is a weird thing of what it does to your body. Because you've got some neural transmissions in you, right, that work off magnesium, that work off iron. So you've got hemoglobin in your blood. Yep. You've got calcium in your bones. Oxygen. So we have a lot of metal in us, right? And these metals are highly reactive, and they react and they create enzymes, and they act like a key in a chain, right? So they act together. Lead is a very similar shape to a lot of these enzymes. Ooh. So but when you look at its atomic structure, it masks itself as other enzymes, but what it does is it blocks neurotransmission. So the neuron will hook onto a lead molecule, not a molecule, but an atom, right? It will hook onto it, thinking it's something else, but it's not, and it won't let go of it. So it blocks and inhibits neural interaction. Wow. And that's why you go crazy.
And that's where you get Alzheimer's from aluminium. Did you know that?
Yeah, aluminium. There is studies that show that the use of aluminium increases what they call amyloid. So when your brain has a lot of amyloid, which is a fancy word for plaque. So you get plaque on your teeth, you get cholesterol in your heart. Well, what your brain does, it grows amyloid, which is like a plaque. When that plaque grows, it stops neural activity, which creates Alzheimer's and dementia.
That's right.
But they reckon that potentially aluminium increases the growth of amyloid. That's what they haven't fully proven it.
It makes sense though.
Well, the older pots that you used to boil in years ago, aluminium. They believe were responsible for it.
Some of them still use aluminium pots now.
Well, interesting, but it's a hard one because aluminium is such a non-reactive metal. It doesn't react with a lot of things. It doesn't exist in nature. Like you can't, like when you find gold, like you can find it as gold, right? Yeah, lead, right. You can find it in galena. You can actually find chunks of lead in nature. You can find these things. But aluminium you can't find in nature. It doesn't exist as a metal in nature. It has to be, the way that aluminium is made is through bauxite. And what they do with bauxite is they electrically charge it, and they charge it with so much electricity it breaks its bond. And then you have a slag, and then you'll have the aluminium. Interestingly enough, here's something to blow your mind, right? If you look at the geological cycle of the Earth, for the last 6 billion years, aluminium didn't exist in the environment.
Yeah.
Now it does.
Wow.
So it's now part of the rock cycle. So when aluminium gets chewed up into sedimentary rock, it now forms sandstone, but it has little bits of aluminium in it. It's never happened in the history of the solar system. Has that ever happened? And
so we humans have created this.
Yeah, same with plastics, man. Plastics never existed. We've actually created.
Don't get me talking about plastics.
Yeah, but now we've started a cycle of geological history that has never been known before. Before humans, before dinosaurs, none of this ever existed. So there's an interesting geological record that is going on. Perhaps in the future, when we start mining other planets in different solar systems, we'll be able to come across the plastic traces of a previous civilization that lived there.
Yeah, there's already companies that are getting involved in that. I want to hear about this story, the rooster.
Oh, the rooster story. Oh, you'll love this story. You'll love it.
You're making me hungry.
Yeah, this story is fantastic. So I was in East Timor as a peacekeeper.
Oh, in the military.
In the military, yeah.
Oh wow.
We won't get into that part of it. Just the important part was
What year?
I was in 2000. 2000, I was a peacekeeper in Interfet. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Post Interfet. So
you might know someone I know.
Yeah. Well. That's what I was saying. I know a lot of people in those circles. But I was in a place called Ballabo, all right? And we're in this village, and I got to know the local village owner, and his name was Orlando, lovely fellow. Started teaching me Tetum, so I could speak the local language. And I used to have all these farm animals just used to wander around the village, like, pigs and oxes and, this sort of thing. And there was this one rooster, that became my pet rooster, and I called him George. And George, nice. And I used to call him George the flat battery rooster, right?
Okay, what's that?
Because when he would crow in the morning, so to get to roosters in the wild, right, you can get them to crow, right? And all you do to get a rooster to crow, right, because what a rooster does before it crows, it will like flap its wings, right? And it will make an audible sound, like it'll go, right? That's how they do it, right? But another big rooster will hear a rooster starting up and then jump the gun. So you can get if you're surrounded by a whole bunch of roosters, just slap your thigh for a little bit, and then they'll start going off.
Wow.
Because I think that they're prepping to crow.
I've got to be careful when I do that. I start being around roosters. Like,
just yeah. Do the Steggles leg slap. With George, he'd do his crow, and he would do it a flat battery kind of way. So he'd start out all strong. He'd go. All right, that's how you do a crow.
Oh, wow.
So I used to call him George the Flat Battery Rooster because it sounded like his batteries had run out during his crow.
Should have got George on the podcast.
And George, I should, man. But George was a really sexy rooster.
Was he?
He used to walk around with chickens following him. He had like 6 families following him around. And he used to strut his stuff. Like,
shout out to George.
Big shout out to George. George was amazing. So Christmas Day came and I was looking for George.
Oh, no.
And I couldn't find George anywhere. And I went up to see Orlando, and I could see that they had this rooster on a spit just spinning around. I'm like, George! George! They ate George.
I've got to tell you my story about the chicken.
So, yeah, I had a taste of George. George was pretty good. George was good. So, but that's my funny story about George. I'm sure he's up there looking down going, man, why do you have to tell that story? I was the man. I had a harem, had like 6 families, and they ate me. and I used to feed him, man, to feed him up, get him big. Yeah, I used to feed him all the time.
Maybe that's what happened. Orlando's like, I haven't been feeding this rooster, but this rooster is now all of a sudden getting bigger and fat.
Well, I think
perfect for.
I think with Orlando, knowing me and knowing him, he probably had in his mind like, I'm going to eat that rooster at Christmas, right? But just let it go. Yeah. If he's going to feed my rooster,
why not?
Fuck it. Why not? He's going to get him fatter.
I had so out of 48 eggs in an incubator, one of them came out, and
Velociraptor.
No. Well, that's actually, it's funny you say that. That's exactly how they did it with the chicken egg.
Yeah, that's true. It turns out what came first, the chicken or the egg? Answer is dinosaur. Anyway.
Yeah, it's actually a dinosaur.
It's actually a dinosaur, yeah.
Anyway, this chicken came out.
Yeah, 48, 58?
Out of 48
eggs, yeah.
Only one of them came out, and I called it Lucky.
Lucky.
Mate.
Good name.
Lucky. Oh.
Lucky chick.
Should be on my finger, should be on my shoulder.
Bouncing around?
I'd come home, I'd open up the pen, she'd come next to me, having a chat. And then I disappeared. I went away, I went on holidays, I moved out.
Mm-hmm.
And one day I came back and, always come back to, to my mum's house. So I always go have a look at Lucky, Come back, where's Lucky? And my little brother, now he's 12, but back then he was about 4.
Mm-hmm.
And he said to me, we ate it.
Oh, you ate Lucky.
And I was like,
you ate Lucky?
yeah, Lucky.
That's my fucking pet bird, man.
No. I was a bit like...
But would you eat Lucky, though, if you had to?
If I had to?
Yeah.
But it would be like last resort.
It'd be difficult, though. Eating a pet would be bloody difficult.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I could get a pet cow, but I don't know if I could eat the pet cow. They're pretty affectionate animals. They're pretty affectionate.
So this is where I'm getting more into like the whole vegetarian, vegan lifestyle. 2-3 days a week. I eat more plant-based. Salads and all that kind of jam.
Yeah, I don't know, but if you look at, I know I've looked at this as well, at this data. If we turn the entire world vegetarian, it would take up so much land space. We'd have to kill so many species to take up the space to do it.
It's the way you do it,
and the way that we currently farm is not good.
No, so
it's not chemically good for the earth.
No, so I think it's sustainability. So it's about combining sustainability. And a good friend of mine, actually, shout out to Jordan.
Big shout out, Jordan.
Big shout out, Jordan.
Get it, mate.
He's actually works with insects, and he's actually starting cricket is actually cricket farming.
Oh,
At
yeah.
the moment.
Yeah, I've seen stories about this.
Yeah.
But they eat the crickets, right? Because they're protein-based.
Yeah, so they're 9 times more efficient than cows.
Yeah. They got a lot of protein. Yeah. But they also, there's other things that they're doing with insects at the moment as well, and that's for pollination, because there's the bee scarers out there. If we lose the bees, we lose the whole lot, which is probably true.
It's true.
Unless we start working with wasps, and fuck them, man. Fucking
Can you
wasps.
imagine? Can you imagine be like,
Oh, yeah, I farm wasps. Fuck you asshole.
who are these people?
Yeah. Who are these people? Yeah, we only do it because the bees died. Do you think I would want to work with wasps? No.
You get those crazy people just walking around with nothing on, and they just got wasps all over them.
Yeah. So you can work with bees and they won't sting you, right? But wasps, no.
Actually, there's some really nice little native. There's a lot of bees. I didn't know this, but there's a lot of bees, and there's an Australian native bee.
Yeah, totally, yeah.
And it's a little thing,
Tiny little thing.
Tiny little thing.
Yeah, apparently the honey is amazing. I've never had it, but apparently it's amazing.
There's the first time I was introduced to it. There's a place in Byron Bay called The Farm.
Of course, it's in Byron Bay.
And no, I kid you not, their hive is this big.
Yeah, no, it's a tiny little thing.
Their hive, it's a little thing, and it's actually up on the wall, and it actually says Australian native bees. And
wow.
And they come out, little things. They come out, and there's little flowers there. And
It's really interesting how the indigenous fellas used to track these bees.
oh,
He has to get a little tiny feather and they'd tie it to the bee, and then they'd follow it to
Really?
its hive. Yeah, because they used to grow on the hollows of or they still do, I imagine, but they grow on the hollows of gum trees.
wow.
So they find a little hollow, and then that's where they make their hive.
So the old way of creating a hive is actually you get they used to do it in Portugal. Get cork.
Mm-hmm.
They'd take the cork off, and then they'd wrap it up with some string,
Mm-hmm.
and you'd get like something sweet, like a sugary wine or something sweet, and you'd put it inside, and you'd have heaps of them.
And they'll just start to make
And then so slowly they would just smell it, and then it would come in, and then eventually they would turn into a hive. Not all of them, but some of them will turn into a hive.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a lot of money in honey. A lot of money in honey, man.
Why do you think it's like lucky chicken dinner? It's like honey, money.
Yeah, no, definitely. There's a lot of money in honey, man. They actually have counterfeit honey out there.
I know, I've seen
Counterfeit honey.
They mix sugar.
Like, what the fuck, man? Why the fuck are you counterfeiting it? Assholes.
It's all for bloody profit.
All for profit, man. Because the most expensive honey to rip off, I think, is the Manuka. The Manuka honey.
Yeah.
Yeah, they rip that off, or they just do normal honey and label it, or they increase their yield by injecting it with syrup, and So there's actually professions out there that test honey. Like their job is to test the purity of honey.
Imagine meeting someone at the pub and be like, "So what do you do for work?" I test honey.
I'm a honey purification expert.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Honey purification expert.
Yeah, HPE. Yeah.
HB. Sounds like it's a brand right there.
I mean, I used to go to when I was single going to pubs. I used to come up with all kinds of different jobs because I was in the military, obviously, and you couldn't say that you're in the military because then you're just another AJ, right? Army jerk. And so I'd come up with different things. A common one to go for is
Was the HB?
No, the dolphin trainer. Dolphin trainer is a common one to go to,
Mate,
because it's quite romantic.
I used to have that on my was it Bumble? I used to have it on my Bumble. Dolphin trainer.
Dolphin trainer.
Yeah.
So yeah.
My friend,
they like the dolphin trainer.
Yeah, my friend said to me, put it on. I said, I don't know. Okay, look, here's the phone. You write the stuff. and I think I was like, dolphin trainer. No. Every person's a dolphin trainer these days.
Yeah, no. Well, see, that's it. Everyone's a dolphin trainer. So I come up with my own gimmick. Was that I was an apprentice tow truck driver.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, I'm just getting into the industry. An apprentice tow truck driver. You have an alias. My name was Hank. Hank, the apprentice tow truck driver.
Mate.
But then you start thinking about it.
Sounds like a short film.
Yeah. How does one become an apprentice tow truck driver? Well, basically, I got a license and I follow around car accidents. It wasn't really hard. But no one questioned it. You go, I'm a pyrotechnician. They're going to start asking questions, right?
Yeah.
Like, how many questions can I answer about pyrotechnics? Probably about 4. When I get to 5, 6 questions, I'm out of my depth. But tow truck driving, I could talk all night about that.
When was the last time you called a tow truck?
When I moved here, actually.
Yeah.
So 3 years ago. 3 years ago, I called the tow truck.
Wow.
Yeah, I had to move because I've got a Kingswood. I've got a hobby car that I've recently sold. Good on you, Ben, if you're listening. By the way, come pick up your car. He probably is listening to this. But yeah, no. So a couple of years ago when I moved house, because I had to move my car and it's not registered, so I couldn't drive it. So I had to get it towed. Like I tow it every time I move, don't I, Misty? Yeah. See, yeah. There we go.
Nice.
Confirmed.
You're gonna have to show me some photos of it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, absolutely. But look, man, I think we've come to the end.
Oh.
I think we're at the end.
Wow.
We didn't get to cover a whole bunch, but if someone needs to contact you for hostings, MCs,
Yeah, 100%.
how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so you can follow me on Instagram, Helder, HELDR.Fernandes, .official. You can also find me, you can also send me an email, helder-fernandez@live.com. This is not for the HPE experts out there, not for the honey
not for the honey
purification experts out there, okay?
Yeah.
This is serious talk.
Looking for bread, okay? We're looking for money.
Looking
if you
for
want
the
to
bread.
hire us, give us a call. We'll be out there. But motivational speaking, to educate people, where should people go to find a good motivational speaker?
So it's not really a motivational speaker. It's motivational speaker can be quite bastard. What's the word?
Bastardized.
That's the word.
They do, actually. I'm going to break that down for you. Wait, but what are you saying?
It's more of again, coming back to falling in love with the journey. It's about the mindset. It's about understanding mindset, understanding your heart. So it's like I don't like to use this word either anymore, but it's like a holistic approach. But having all of this knowledge, and then sort of being like, it's a different type of mythology.
Yeah, but you do have to zoom out, though. You have to zoom out and look at the big picture.
course.
That is a part of it. But a holistic view has been hijacked a little bit.
It's been hijacked.
Yeah, but okay, so not motivational speaker, but inspirational educator. How about
Inspirational educator.
I like that. Inspirational educator.
Inspirational educator.
All right.
Very
Well,
good.
so don't forget to go and check out Helder as an inspirational educator and MC and host. Go and check out his content online.
Yeah.
But once again, thank you so much for being on the show, man.
Thank
I
you
really
for having
appreciate
me.
it.
It was a pleasure. Thank you for the great
Yeah,
laughs.
cheers, man. Cheers. Yeah, I had a really good time. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the story. Better have a drink.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, I like that. You can't have a cheers and not drink. You have to
It's
drink.
bad luck.
It's bad luck.
Do you know what they say? 7 years of bad sex.
Oh yeah, can't have that.
Can't have that.
Can't have that. Got to definitely and look in the eyes when you cheer someone. Look them in the eye.
You have to look in the eyes.
You have to look them in the eye.
Yeah, it's like you're being intimate. You're like,
Yeah. How are you doing, baby?
definitely not having those 7 years of bad luck.
Well, certainly on that note, I think we got to get off the train.
Okay.
All right, Dave, but once again, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
You guys have been watching the Pagey Train. You can find us on Spotify. You can find us on Apple, iTunes, Amazon, and of course, iHeartRadio. And for our viewers out there, YouTube. And if you've been watching us on YouTube and been having a good time, don't forget to subscribe. Every subscriber counts. You've been watching the Pagey Train, and we'll see you next time. Sonic boom. All done. How'd you go, Misty? Did you push record?
Hopefully. Or do we have to do that again?
Oh.
Yes.
No, we'll be good. We'll be good. Kill the record.
great.
Kill the record, please.